people don't leave jobs because of the work typically, right? Because the work is the work, no matter where you go. It's really about the culture, the sense of community, the sense of belonging, I feel like, that really drives people to leave organizations.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of times people leave managers.
And the people that they work with, right? If it's not a good environment, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I hope to see women in 2030, right, some larger roles in supply chain versus the traditional roles that we typically see women in supply chain. I think some skills that are really important are communication, obviously, right, and empathy, and the ability to be resilient. I think that's another one. Resiliency is something even I'm still trying to learn myself. Mentors are great, right? I think everybody needs a supporter. Someone needs a cheerleader. Someone needs someone who's kind of watching and helping you and kind of guiding you, and not looking for anything back from that other than just to help you. So I think mentorships are really important. And the other one that I can't resist is Jeff Bezos, sitting down with Jeff to talk to him about supply chain challenges, because, I mean, look what he's done. He's revolutionized the supply chain, truly, and changed what the vision is for supply chain.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Crossroads. This forum is for supply chain professionals whose peers have graciously offered some of their time and insights into the wisdom of their daily lives dealing with supply chain. I am Jim Hilbert, coming to you live today from the Bay Area. Happy 2025 to all of our supply chain peeps. It's going to be another great year of change for all of us, and especially in the States with the new administration change. I'm sure we all can't wait. So with that, I have a very special guest here today. With me is Erin Loew. She has got 20 years of experience in the chemical industry. She is currently the VP of Planning and Inventory, where she focuses on improving and streamlining global supply chain processes to reduce cost, drive productivity, and improve S&OP processes to achieve working capital targets. So with that, Erin, we finally get to meet in person.
Yes, nice to see you.
Both of us flew in yesterday from out of town. I came in from the Chicago area, so very, very thankful to have some warm weather here in California, Northern California. And you came in from Portland, Oregon.
That's right.
So, well, hey, let's start today by just telling a quick story about how each of us got to the Bay Area or wanted to come here to even do this podcast from. So mine started a few decades ago, moved from Texas, came to a global computing company. Supply chain was obviously a thing to get all the pieces and parts, and that's where my career began here in the Bay Area. Ultimately, fell in love with this place and moved into the software as a startup world a few years back, and had some great success there, and that's how we've met, is through supply chain software. So that's my story. Ultimately moved back to Texas, though. So we talked about that this morning, raising my boys and grandkids all there. How about you? How did you get to the Bay Area?
Yeah, so I actually, the first part of my childhood was in the Bay Area in Santa Cruz, California. So coming back here is always like coming to home. Spent a lot of time in San Francisco growing up and spending time at the museums. The Science Museum was my favorite as a kid, actually, here in San Francisco. Nice. So, yeah, yep.
Very nice. Well, hey, we talked this morning over breakfast, and a couple of things that we've came across that were both near and dear to both our hearts. One is women in supply chain, and the other is STEM. Obviously, with both of us having children, you can talk about your kids here in a minute, but raising 3 boys and all of them being into science and tech like their dad was, it was a thing early on. But from a chemical engineering leadership role that you have in supply chain, it's quite a journey. What sparked your initial interest in STEM?
Yeah, it's, as we talked about this morning, people have a huge impact on your life. And it really is people who kind of led me into this field. So as a kid, my dad was an engineer by practice, not by education. And he started his own construction company, building and remodeling homes. And so as a kid, he would take me to job sites and he would explain to me how things were built. So that always sparked my interest, right, in that. And so when I went to college, I loved math. So I went to college and I thought I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to design and build things. And a counselor said to me, well, why don't you consider civil engineering, right? That's less schooling. You might like it. You can always engineer something and design, but you can't design and engineer. So I thought that was a good point. So I switched to civil engineering. And then I had a professor who taught chemistry, and she made me fall in love with chemistry. So then I was like, okay, how do I combine chemistry and engineering? And found chemical engineering as a degree. and made a switch to that. So that really, it was the people in my life that impacted the direction I went in STEM.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great,
Yeah.
great stuff about STEM, right? So you started early. You started really an era when few women had even thought about chemical engineering. Can you share a pivotal moment during your university years that kind of strengthened your resolve to succeed in a male-dominated field?
Yeah, I don't think there was really one pivotal moment. It was really sort of a compilation of things. And it was, being in some of those higher level engineering, math, and chemistry courses, thermodynamics and process control. And I was getting just as good of grades or better than some of my male counterparts. I also noticed that during, problem solving, I had different perspectives on how to solve problems. And so it was those experiences over my college career that really gave me the confidence to know that I deserved a seat at the table and that I could do well no matter what the challenge really presented. So it was really sort of the experiences throughout college that
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
awesome. Great story.
Yeah.
So you've broken several glass ceilings throughout your career. What advice would you give the young women in supply chain today, or even young women in STEM programs who are facing similar barriers? Because they're still here.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you really have to advocate for yourself. That's really important to learn how to give yourself a voice. I think saying yes to opportunities. So when things come to you, be willing to step outside of your comfort zone and say yes to trying different things and new experiences. And then the last one, I think, really is barriers should not be seen as a stoppage, like a blocking point. They really need to be considered as another problem to go solve. So how do you view that barrier as an opportunity to change the way things are? How do you rally your network, your supporters, to go push through some of those barriers and those boundaries that you see?
Yeah, that's great. We talked this morning about mentors as well. Talked
yep.
about some of my mentors.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on mentors?
Yeah, I think mentors are great, right? I think everybody needs a supporter. Someone needs a cheerleader. Someone needs someone who's kind of watching and helping you and kind of guiding you and not looking for anything back from that other than just to help you. So I think mentorships are really important.
That's
Absolutely.
great. So looking ahead, it's 2025.
Yeah.
In 5 years, 2030, how do you envision the role of women leaders evolving in technical fields like supply chain? And what skills would you say are crucial for their success?
Yeah, I mean, I hope to see women in 2030, right, some larger roles in supply chain versus the traditional roles that we typically see women in supply chain.
What are those, by the way?
Which one? The typical roles?
Yeah, typical roles.
I would say like your planning roles,
Okay.
Warehouse replenishment roles. We
Got
would
it.
typically see we see more females in than we do males.
Yep.
So I'd like to see more women rise to those leadership roles in supply chain. I think some skills that are really important are communication, obviously, right, and empathy, and the ability to be resilient. I think that's another one. Resiliency is something even I'm still trying to learn myself.
Yeah. So in the middle of all the supply chain meetings, stress, chaos, is it coffee or tea? What fuels you?
Oh, it's coffee.
Coffee.
Yes.
Mine's the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm tea.
Okay. My mornings start between 3 and 4 a.m. And so just the smell of the coffee wakes me up in the morning.
Yeah.
So, but we did talk about healthy guts today too.
We did.
And I have started on a mushroom coffee.
Oh, very
so
nice.
That's supposed to be much healthier for your gut and help to provide some more natural energy. So I'm trying that.
No doubt. Yeah, we talked about our roles being global,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's really, we're up very early and we're still up very late. So
Right.
the time zones kind of follow.
Yep.
All right, let's switch over to your career. Transitioning from engineering to sales, that's intriguing. I made the same move,
Right.
so I understand. What motivated that shift for you, and how did it broaden your understanding of customer expectations versus business dynamics?
Yeah, so it was really the company I work for today came and did a presentation when I was in college for an internship. And it was a sales internship. And I was like, engineering and sales, I don't understand, right? And they explained that you're really using your engineering background, the problem solving skills that you gain in engineering to really come in and solve challenges for the customer, whether that is production issues or cost reduction, right, that they're trying to achieve. So I was very excited to give that a try. I did that and I loved it. And I took a full-time role with them and worked in the commercial business for several years before I made the transition into planning. And I will say, I think it gave me a very unique perspective coming into planning, understanding the challenges that are being faced to our customer. What are the pain points? What keeps the customer up at night? What are their big drivers and their big concerns? So that I make sure that I keep that in mind, right, as I'm trying to do problem solving on the supply chain side.
Yeah, that's great. Really good. You've built several high-performing teams. What have you found to be the secret, not only to attracting but retaining women in technical supply chain roles?
Yeah, I think it's really mentorship, like we talked about, and representation. I think, providing women a view of what can happen, like giving them sort of a runway and helping to sponsor women along the way, support other women along their journey is really critical. I think having gone through this, what is really important to me is the sense of community as well, and knowing that I have other women who are supporting for me and I can go to and ask questions and get advice from. We have, participating in women's networks, trying to build that sense of community, I feel like is really key to retain women. And men too, right? A sense of community is really important for people in general, right? And I think we talked about community this morning too, right? And so having that community allows people to feel comfortable and to feel like they're part of something bigger than just themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And I would say too, people don't leave jobs because of the work typically, right? Because the work is the work, no matter where you go. It's really about the culture, the sense of community, the sense of belonging, I feel like, that really drives people to leave organizations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of times people leave managers.
And the people that they work with, right? If it's not a good environment, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned empathy and is crucial in leadership. How does being an engineer who understands technical complexities help you emphasize or empathize with both your team's challenges and customer needs? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I think, my engineering background, certainly I understand the complexities of some of the challenges that my team is facing, whether those are process problems or digital problems. And I think it's really important to understand the stress too of trying to solve problems quickly for supply chain, right? Everything is usually rapid fire, trying to solve issues for the customer. So I support the team. They know that I'm with them every step of the way. I'm there to guide them during some of these challenges. And really, my team is never left out alone. So they always know they can trust me, that I'll be at their side through whatever challenge we're facing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So speaking of supply chain, again, in your experience, having both technical and commercial experience, you're kind of uniquely positioned to drive the perfect delivery mandate that today's customers demand. How's that working out in your current company?
No, that is a huge focus for us is the perfect delivery for the customer. Our customers want it on time and they want it in full, right? And so I feel like the experience I had on the commercial team really brings that forward into the supply chain, because you're always keeping that customer perspective in mind as you're solving technical problems or solving process problems. The whole goal is to make sure that customer gets that material on time, right? So that's the main focus.
Yeah, that's great. That is really good. In the rise of e-commerce, it's obviously transformed customer expectations across all industries. How do you see traditional B2B businesses evolving into these Amazon-like delivery demands?
Right. Well, we're all at home, right? We are used to and getting accustomed to knowing that I can order today and I'll have it at my doorstep even this afternoon or this evening, and I can see that my material or whatever I've ordered is 4 stops away in my neighborhood. And I think that is translating now into the B2C world, and so our customers are expecting, right, the reliability, the transparency, and the efficiency, the speed of getting material when they want the material, right? So it's really changing the landscape, I feel, for us in the B2C and B2B on what our customers are looking for in the future.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how supply chains have evolved with ocean, air, rail, and now it's parcel courier. Can we get it from the store directly to the house? Does it have to come from a warehouse? It's been pretty amazing the shift that's happening in the landscape. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it really is becoming a B2C type market. That's great. Just one more question. What's your go-to stress relief activity after a particularly challenging day of logistics?
Well, I love, if it's not raining, I'm in Portland. If it's not raining, I like to go for a long walk. But I really enjoy cooking. I feel like it's chemistry in the kitchen, so I love to cook. So cooking a really healthy meal, listening to good jazz music, and a glass of wine in my hand, that's probably a way I would stress relief at the end of the day.
Oh, that sounds great. Great way to end the day.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over and talk a different topic. The integration of digital tools has transformed supply chain planning, especially over the last decade. How's your engineering mindset help you leverage technology to enhance delivery performance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a big part is data analytics, right? I think we have a lot more data now that we can analyze to help us reach that perfect delivery for the customer. So getting our hands on more information is really critical. And advanced planning systems is probably the other one, right? So as we think about how do we plan for what the customer needs, how do we start using predictive analytics in meeting the demand of the customer, I think is really, those are the two tools. And so having an engineering mindset, right, you're sort of process driven, you're technically driven, and so that really helps you to leverage those tools to be able to do what we need to do for the customer.
That's great. No, data analytics, it's been unbelievable. It just continues to grow.
Yes.
These data lakes are outrageous these days. Then brings in AI.
Yeah.
So with AI use cases and Gen AI in particular becoming increasingly popular, how should shippers think about adopting AI to build a center of excellence?
Yeah, interesting question. I think that AI can be used for a lot of things as we're talking about making shipments. So think about a truck on the road and there is winter storm or bad roads, and using AI to divert the loads to a different route, live stream, right? So that you can make a quick shift instead of trucks getting stuck because the roads are closed, making a decision earlier in the route to be able to route around, knowing that we've got a storm coming or bad weather coming or road closures or accidents, right? So getting more real-time information that feeds directly to some of those shippers, I think, is critical. Port closures or delays at ports even. So being able to route, a ship to a different location, a different port, because there's a longer backlog at another port. So to me, it's really trying to feed that information in to be able to make more real-time decisions on how you route your freight.
Yeah. We were talking this morning even about upstream on procurement, right? So going out to bid, even to procure freight, and is the contract I currently have the one I should stick with, or should I go to spot bidding? Or, and just having the intelligence and the automatic, lookup of your contract and being able to give you a right quick on the spot decision.
Absolutely.
Kind of the co-pilot help, which is pretty amazing. Given recent labor disputes and tentative agreements at all the major ports, how are organizations preparing to mitigate potential disruption and ensure continuity in their supply chain?
I think this is something we're seeing a lot more frequently these days, right? It's just, right, and no matter what the challenge, there's still challenges that are coming at us left and right. Yeah. So making sure that we have the right inventory, I think, in the right locations is critical, the right level of inventory to make sure that we don't lose that continuity to the customer. So, planning that there's going to be some sort of disruption and understanding, right, that we need to account for that. And also alternative pathways, right? So having different sources of material coming in so that if you're 100% reliant upon a port to get your material and something happens in that port, you're done, right? So it's critical to be sourced from different places so that you've got, either whether it's domestic material along with outsourced material or things coming in from different regions, different ports, so that you have some flexibility as well in your supply chain.
So with the upcoming changes in U.S. tariffs on imports from key trading partners, how are shippers preparing to manage the increased cost and maintain competitive pricing?
That's a great question. I think having alternative sources of material is really critical. So if the container price is going up and you have domestic source, being able to shift your source of your material to another location is very helpful. And as we talked about earlier, using technology to help us in pricing and giving us a competitive advantage will be critical to maintain pricing. And certainly, right, if those things aren't working, then things do get passed on to the consumer, unfortunately, right? That tends to happen when we're increasing tariffs.
In the chemical industry, in particular with tariffs, have you guys been doing more onshoring, finding ways to kind of avoid the tariff tax, if you will?
Yeah, I think we try to ensure that we've got multiple sources of material, right? So we're never stuck with just one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great. If you could have dinner with a historical figure to discuss supply chain strategy, who would it be and why? That's interesting.
So I'm going to pick two. Can I pick two? I'll pick
Sure.
one really historical and then one more today. But I think, so for historical, so think about inventing in an inventive mind.
Yeah.
And so Leonardo da Vinci, like how would he approach supply chain problems, right? He was extremely creative. So what would he come up with? He was right and left brained, right? So what would he come up with as a solution for supply chain challenges? And the other one that I can't resist is Jeff Bezos, sitting down with Jeff to talk to him about supply chain challenges, because, I mean, look what he's done. He's revolutionized the supply chain, truly, and changed what the vision is for supply chain.
Yeah, no, those are great. Those are good examples. In the spirit of efficiency, what's your personal record for the fastest time to pack a suitcase for a business trip?
Well, normally I'm not doing it rushed because I have, anticipation that I'm traveling, and I'm an engineer, so I plan, right? So I'm a very organized person. But I could pack a suitcase in about 10 minutes. I do keep I keep duplication of everything. So all of my toiletries are already packed in my suitcase. So I just need to add in whatever clothes I'm going to be wearing, and off I go.
That's great. Well, thanks for your time today, Erin. I'll want to wrap up here and just really appreciate your insights and what you shared today. Really helps supply chain teams, helping women, thinking about kids in STEM and education. Really good insights for kind of the younger female generation in particular. So thanks for those insights. I think we're making great strides, but as we both know, got a long way to go. We spent time talking about the day.
Absolutely.
And thank all of you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we look forward to bringing you more supply chain topics in the next up-and-coming Crossroads editions. Thanks again for tuning in.